Men are intimidated by successful women. So, what's a girl to do? Hi, I'm Leena Swan. I'm a confidence and magnetism coach in dating. And I'm here to show you what might be happening in your dates if you're a successful woman looking for a man who is her absolute match in looks, smarts, wealth, and heart. So, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in learning and improving your dating journey so that you can call in soul match love that is right for you. So, firstly, my clients tell me about this all the time. They are typically smart, well educated, well earning women who have a beautiful lifestyle and they've worked really hard and made a lot of sacrifices to get themselves there. And they want to find a man who is a match, not just in all of these things, but also who is a true heart match for her, too, right? Heart connection match as well. And she typically finds that she doesn't really match with men at all who are her actual match on a dating app. She definitely doesn't meet them in real life. And on the occasion when she does match with a man who is her absolute match, she either just doesn't find him attractive or that he doesn't really pursue her in the way that maybe men who she doesn't really find attractive or who aren't a perfect match for her do. And she finds herself getting really frustrated, right? Like, when am I going to find this match of mine? So I'm here to show you what might be going on in the subconscious energetics of your dating process that might be turning men who are a beautiful match for you, not just in all of the on paper qualities, but also in heart. Um, but the first myth I want to dispel is men are absolutely not turned off by smart, intelligent women at all. In fact, many men that I speak to are looking for a woman who is his match because he wants to have intellectual conversations. He wants to share his career with her. He wants to share all the facets of life with her, right? But typically, smart women, and I put myself in this category, right? We sometimes do things on the date that are a little bit off putting. And plot spoiler, it has nothing to do with minimizing your education. It has nothing to do with hiding how much you earn. It has nothing to do with minimizing what your standard of life is. No hiding energy whatsoever. Because men absolutely do want their match as well. But sometimes we are doing this one little thing that is so easy to fix. And I'm going to share that with you in this video. So where I'm going to start is imagine the scenario when you're about to meet your best girlfriend for brunch, right? You haven't seen her in a really long time. You're getting ready, you're putting your makeup on, you want her to really admire you in your full beauty because you love her and you can't wait to connect with her, and you're going to admire her and she's going to admire you, and there's going to be so much love. And you meet up and you're like, hey, how's it going? I'm so excited to be having this time to connect with you. I'm so excited to hear about everything that's going on in your world. And you might give each other a little cuddle and a little kiss on the cheek, and then you'll sit down and there'll be so much openness, there'll be so much love, right? When we are in this energy, it is so magnetic, it is so open, it is so captivating. And you'll notice sometimes when you're with your girlfriends having fun, men will look at you. Have you noticed that? When you're in a cafe with your best girlfriend or a group of girlfriends, men will kind of look at you. They'll be kind of drawn into your energy because they are fascinated with the world of the feminine. And for reference, when I talk about feminine and masculine in my content, I am not talking about the general description of feminine and masculine that you might have heard elsewhere. In my content, when I talk about feminine energy, I simply mean the world of emotions. That's it. When I talk about the masculine, I simply mean the world of action. They are two different energies, and both men and women have both feminine and masculine energy. So feminine means emotions, masculine means actions, and it means nothing else other than that, right? So men are just looking at you, sharing your emotions with your girlfriends, and they are beguiled. They are drawn into that energy. Now, tell me about the last date that you went on, right? Question. Did you turn up with defensive energy? Now, I know I've done this. I know many of my clients have done this, right? So we are not shaming and we are not telling ourselves off. We are just being really honest with ourselves. What was the energy of the last date you went on? Did it look a bit like this? You turned up. You saw him across the room and your heart sank. Oh my God, he looks nothing like his profile pictures. And what the hell are those shoes on his feet? Like, what are those shoes, right? And you go in and you've kind of got at the back of your mind, like, I've got a couple questions I've got to ask this man. And you interview him. And so many women do this, right? And I totally get why we do this, right? I put myself in this category too. I used to do this all the time. And I remember when this energy shifted for me, this is when my dating game just became so easy, when I started to attract multiple men who just pursued me. And eventually I started to climb higher and higher and attract better and better men who were my match in every single criteria that I wanted. But it all started from moving out of this interview defensive energy and moving into this beautiful, relaxed, feminine energy that I gave to my girlfriends effortlessly without defense, right? So one of the problems that we do is, as strong, independent women who are very highly educated, who are earning really well for ourselves, who have created a certain standard of life, we know what we want, right? And we're not going to beat around the bush. And I love that about us, right? But when we go into a date and we approach it with this almost like on paper energy, like I'm in the HR and I'm screening you for a job and I'm going to make sure that this man ticks every single box. And he's just like, well, I think I'm a good person. Like we're really like putting him under a lot of pressure. It's not fun for him. He's not enjoying the process. I've actually had men do this to me in dating. And I came out of that date so stressed. And the feedback I gave was, I just felt like I came out of an interview and I don't think I want to go to the second round, right? And men feel this way too. So why is it that when we're with our girlfriends, we have this beautiful, glorious, open, safe energy, but when we're around men, we get into like this defensive, almost like we get into our turtle shell, and we almost just want to check that he's ticking the boxes, because if not, it's a waste of time. So when we're doing that, we're very much in our masculine energy. Remember that masculine energy is action. So what are we doing here? We're screening him. We're like, well, you better check my criteria because I'm not going to waste my time on you. We're being goal oriented. So I'm looking for my forever partner. And if it's not you, I don't want to waste my time on this, right? And it doesn't create any space for connection, for love, for emotion, for flirtation, for magnetism. And it turns the man off. And at the end of the interview date, you might have really liked him, but I can guarantee you he's not calling you again. And the thing that is bothersome about this is it has nothing to do with you, your beauty, your intelligence, your value. You are gorgeous and smart and you know it, right? But he didn't enjoy the date. He didn't have fun from the date. So we're very much coming from a certain energy here. And I want to explain where this energy comes from. When we as women go into a date and we screen and we interview, it's not because we're bad people. It's not because we don't know how to flirt. It's not because we're stupid. It's none of those things, right? But somewhere lurking underneath is our good old friend, fear. So I want you to take that in for a second. Does that resonate with you? Because sometimes, when we're over screening the man and over interviewing the man, it's coming from this place of wanting to protect ourselves. And we're not going to shame ourselves for that, right? But what we are going to do is create this beautiful, juicy awareness of what our behavior is doing and how that might feel to the other person, right? Because this guy hasn't done anything to you, but maybe there was someone in your past, right? Maybe you came out of a relationship and you're like, well, I've learned this lesson and I'm going to screen the next people for this quality. But the truth is that building love and connection does take a little bit of trust. It does take a little bit of openness and magnetism. So when we're constantly coming from this fear energy, trying to screen and trying to keep ourselves safe, it completely obliterates sexiness, magnetism, flirtation, all the things that men are secretly looking for on that first date. So I want to explain something called the inverse law of dating. And when you get this, this is going to be a game changer in your understanding of men and really what's going on for men in the dating process, right? Because men and women approach dating from different sides of the spectrum. Here's a plot spoiler. Men kind of do it right. And I'm going to explain why. And you will never, ever, ever hear me say that again. So this is the last time. So men will screen you on the dating app and they'll be like, pretty woman, beautiful, attractive. Okay, let's have a little look and see if we have anything in common. She likes sports. She's pretty. She, seems really smart. She's pretty. Yeah, she seems like she's really cool, like she's got a good sense of humor and she's pretty. And so when a man has invited you on a date, he finds you attractive. That is the one message I want to give to you, right? He's like, that woman is really pretty. I want to go on a date with her. She looks really cool, right? And he's obviously sensed a vibe from you. He's filtered you a little bit, but not a lot, because ultimately you're pretty. Okay. Men are very visual. They really love the experience of being in your energy. You're probably exuding delicious feminine energy from your profile, because whenever you took that photo, you felt really safe. So that's why he's taken you out on a date. So the beautiful thing about that is when you're going on a date with a man, just know he already finds you attractive. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to do anything on that date. He's already chosen you pretty much 89% because of your looks, right? Women in dating, and we know we do this, we screen everything. We are there. We're like, so he wants a monogamous relationship, tick. Okay. What kind of job does he do? What is his star sign? Okay, that's just me. But what is his value system? Do I feel like he's a match? How long has it been since he was in his past relationship? How much do I think he's earned? Then we're like on Google, like, how much does a mid-level accountant earn? Like, we're doing all of that, right? We've done our research. Then after all of that, we're like, yeah, and he's kind of cute. Like, he's kind of cute. So we kind of screen him from, is he going to be a forever life match? Now, I get why we do this. I used to do this. All my clients do this. It's not necessarily wrong. You've got to do what you feels right to you in that point. But we basically put a lot of expectation on it, right? We're not really picking men just because they look good. We've already done some due diligence. Likely we've already looked him up on LinkedIn or something around those lines, right? That's okay. If that's the way you want to do it on a dating app, fine, right? If that makes you feel good, fine. But once you have done your due diligence, we put it aside in your filing cabinet. And when you go on the date, you approach the date from the feminine. So what is the feminine? From the world of emotions, right? So this is really important. We almost have to meet the man in the feminine world, because that is what he wants to experience on a date with you. And when you are in your pure feminine, your pure emotion, that is what is going to get a man to ask you out on a second, a third date, and to eventually pick you as his one, because he loves you being in your feminine energy. You're exuding warmth, you're exuding emotions. It doesn't mean that you always have to be nice and happy, but it's the world of emotions, right? And this is something I teach within my coaching experiences. It's called leading with the feminine, because feminine energy is not a passive energy. It's an incredibly active energy, but it's energy of emotions, right? And the masculine is energy of action. So when we're dating, it's all about leading from the feminine. And I'm going to talk more about that a little bit later. And actually, let's talk about it now. Let's flip the scripts, right? Because I've talked a lot about what guys are looking for, but anyone who's coached with me knows that I don't really care, and I don't coach from the male gaze. I want to know, how do you feel on that day? Are you having a good time? Because if you're not having a good time, Queen, then why are you on this date, right? You should be enjoying your dating process. You are on a journey of finding the one. That is supposed to be exciting. And I know you've been on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dates, and you're jaded and you're exhausted. But maybe the reason that you're jaded and exhausted is because you're not going out on dates with men who feel good to be around. They're not fun. They're kind of boring. And you're not able to kind of channel into your beautiful feminine energy that you do so effortlessly with your girlfriends with a man on a date. Probably because the dating environment doesn't feel safe to you. And I'm going to explain what safe means in this context. But probably because it doesn't feel as safe to you as it does when you're with your girlfriend. And I totally get that, right? So when I talk about leading from the feminine, I'm really talking about flipping the script and really getting into your I dialogue. So I dialogue sounds like this. You're on a date. How do I feel around that man? Do I find him interesting? Am I enjoying this date? Do I find him attractive? How did that comment make me feel? I'm curious about this. I desire to know this about him. Do I want to go on a second date? Well, what do I feel about him? I dialogue, I dialogue, I dialogue. It is your experience. It is your date. The only feelings that matter are yours. What I hear from women time and time again is, oh my God, I really liked him, but what if he doesn't message me? He hasn't messaged me back. Does that mean he doesn't like me? I wonder what he thought about me on that day. I wonder if he found me attractive in real life. Did he find me interesting? I'm not really sure. Like, does he like me? And the truth is, For a lot of these men, the woman doesn't even like him, but she's still so worried about what the man thinks. So let's flip the script, queens. No more caring about what the man thinks. What do you think? How do you feel on that date? That's what I want to know. I want to make sure that you're having fun on the dates, because this is your lifetime and your journey to love. And it can be such a beautiful spiritual quest when you're finding the one, if you are doing it right, right? It should be fun. This is your life. You're a beautiful, smart woman. So that is something to check in with yourself. Are you activating I dialogue? When you do that, you do something very powerful that really grabs a man by his heart. And it's called leading with the feminine. So leading with the feminine, it sounds like this in dating. Oh, like, I'm having a really good time. I'm enjoying this conversation. The man hears that, and he then starts to create more conversation that you enjoy. Oh, I really don't want to sit by the window because I noticed that someone is smoking outside. The man goes and finds a table that's away from the window. Oh, I'm really curious to learn this about you. Can you tell me more about this? The man tells you what you're curious to hear about. So what's happening here is you are telling him your emotions, and he is taking actions to meet your need. Already you are creating a very sexy dynamic here of you being in your feminine, him being in your masculine. Because let me tell you what guys really care about on a first date. Can you guess? They care that you're having a good time, right? So when you're not having a good time on a first date, he just feels like a failure. He's like, what have I done? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, all he cares about is you having a good time. I promise you, he's not evaluating you. A masculine energy man has already decided that he's going to give you a date. So if he is very much in his feminine energy, then he's probably acting like the woman and you're subconsciously getting turned off, right? When a man is in his empowered masculine energy, he cares about you having a good time, and that is all he cares about. So it's really important that you lead from the feminine. Can you see how you're leading, but you're telling the man your emotions and he is taking the actions to meet them? And this is one of the most powerful things that will switch up your dating game, not just in dating, but actually in life, period. If you learn how to do this properly. When I learned how to do this, and when I taught my clients how to do this, I just revel in watching how the entire dynamic of their dating journey changes. So I dialogue and leading with the feminine is something very much that I teach in my coaching experiences. If that is something that you're curious to learn more about and you'd like to have a discovery call with me, you can click the link in the description below. But I want to talk more about why we don't feel like we can be in our feminine on a date with a man. And it comes from a fact that we're unable to create a deeper sense of safety for ourselves during the dating process. So when I talk about safety in this context, I don't mean that you're in imminent danger on that date, right? So obviously, like, I hope I don't have to say this to you, but I'm going to say it. If you're in a position on a date with a man and you just don't feel safe, get up and leave. You don't have to say anything, right? We don't have to do any fancy dating techniques. If you don't feel safe, get the hell out of there. You've got no place being there. You just do what you've got to do to be safe. But when I'm talking about safety in this context, you're on a date with a man and something just doesn't feel that safe to you. Likely it's to do with something that's happened in your past. Now, it doesn't mean that something extremely traumatic happened in your past. It just means that your body is on a date and she's thinking, this feels strangely familiar to that other time in the past when something happened and it didn't feel good, and I don't want the same thing to happen again. So what happens is our body can sometimes overreact. And I also want to explain the word overreact because we never overreact, really. Sometimes I also use the word trigger. What this means is that our body is almost hyper aware of what's going on when she doesn't need to be. Because you wouldn't be like that with your girlfriends, right? Even when they say something that's a bit annoying, you're just like, I don't agree with you, right? But when a man says it, you're like, we are not, like, we almost overreact. We're like, how dare you say that to me? Like, he's obviously not a feminist, right? So we really have to just be aware of what's going on in our body on those dates. Are we feeling very, is our body language like this? Like, we're really small, we're a little bit defensive, we're a little bit like leaned back from him, like we're not feeling safe, right? And so when I talk about safety, it doesn't mean that you're in imminent danger. It just means that something feels uncomfortable. And for a lot of women, when they start coaching with me, they're a little bit afraid of men, and not because something bad happened to them, just because they feel safer around women. I think as women, we do, right? We feel safe in the female collective. But when it comes to men, our behavior completely changes. What if I were to tell you that the key is to keep your behavior the same? And I don't mean friend zoning yourself. And I don't mean pretending that he's a woman. I just mean being relaxed, not feeling the need to impress him, just owning your beauty, feeling good in yourself, asking the things that are genuinely on your mind, not worrying about what you're going to say or scripting what you're. Oh God, I sometimes have clients, they script the questions for a date. And I'm like, no, because that's not, is that fun for you? If it's fun for you, do it. And if it's not fun for you, please stop doing that, because that is not the solution, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say here is sometimes we do things because we just don't feel safe. And I get that. And I felt like that. But the truth is that you're not in any real danger. And there are 3 powerful tools to unlocking your safety on that date. And they are intuition, knowing when you are actually genuinely in a position that's not safe versus when you're getting a little bit triggered. So when you're kind of thinking, ooh, this doesn't feel safe, but I know that I am safe, I'm just kind of overreacting a little bit to this, right? Boundaries. So a boundary could be something like, oh, I don't like this, I'm going to move my chair a little bit further away from him. Or I don't like being in this venue that is so quiet, I'm gonna actually like ask if we can go to a slightly busier venue where I feel safer. And of course, the third one is a natural progression: expression. Communicate. Oh, I really don't like it when you put your hand on my shoulder, would you mind just removing it? It's nothing personal. Oh, this doesn't feel good to be here. I would prefer to go somewhere that's a little bit more crowded. Would that be okay with you? Oh, I had a really good time. It was really interesting to get to know you, yet I don't feel romantic attraction to you. Would it be okay to leave it here? Expression. This creates so much delicious safety for us that you don't have to hide anything from a man on a date, because when you are not feeling it, it's going to be safe. And so many women are afraid to go on a date in the first place because they're kind of on the fence with whether she likes him or not. And she doesn't want to have that deeper conversation of, oh, I'm not feeling it, because she hasn't practiced setting her boundaries. The beautiful thing about boundaries and expression of boundaries and fear versus intuition is you can practice this in dating. On every date you go, you get to practice these 3 tools. And that is something we very much do in the coaching experiences that I guide. So again, if that's something you're interested to learn more about and you think that this would be something that's super useful in your dating journey, then you can click the link in the description and book a discovery call with me so we can say hello and I can learn more about your dating journey and the things that you might need to do to improve that and just make it more streamlined to getting that forever love for yourself. Okay, so I think that's mostly what I really wanted to talk about. I want to kind of give a slight conclusion to this, which is we talked about men being intimidated by successful women. You have so many sides of yourself. I would really love for you to feel comfortable for exuding that feminine warmth without having to prove yourself to him. He already knows you're a smart woman. He can tell just from the minute you walk through the room. You don't need to prove that you're smart. You don't need to earn his respect. You don't need to do anything on the date. What you really should be doing, or what I would love for you to do, is be sensing into your eye dialogue. How do I feel? What does this feel like for me? Do I feel beautiful around him? Do I feel desired by him? Do I feel interested by him? Do I feel captivated to ask questions? Am I feeling bored? Can you hear this eye dialogue? Men do this so well. And when women learn how to do this, it switches their dating game up in a way that is so beautifully magnetic that they get the man that they want. Simple. It really is that simple. And it all comes from having that juicy, magnetic sense of confidence and self-worth. So if you are a woman who is looking to call in that forever love fast, and you're kind of in a place where you're ready to learn, and you're in a place where you're ready to be deeply supported in your emotional world of dating, and you think that some of the things I've discussed here would be highly relevant to your dating journey, and you'd like to have a chat, you can book the link in the description below. It will take you to a calendar. You can book your complimentary discovery call with me. What will happen on this discovery call is we will say hello to each other. I will ask you a little bit about your dating and relationship world, and I will be listening intently so I can create a coaching framework for you that will likely help you get from A, which is likely there are probably just a few glitches in your dating journey that just need to be smoothed out so you can start attracting in men who are your actual match, right? And looks, smarts, wealth, and heart, so you can feel comfortable and safe around them, so you can feel confident and desired in your dating journey, so you can take the role of a woman, so it doesn't feel like you're constantly chasing men who are emotionally unavailable, who don't seem to be interested in you, and almost feeling like, oh, if I don't settle my standards, then I'll be single forever. No, I don't want any of that for you. And what I will do is create that coaching framework that will show you how to get from being single and dating to dating men in early dating, a selection of your choice, putting the cards in your hands. So the decision is yours, which man to choose to build long-lasting forever partnership with. And you can see if any of my coaching experiences are right for you, and you can ask questions about them to see if they are. There's never any pressure to sign up with me. And if anything, I always love a conversation and learning about what's going on in your dating and relationship journey. So remember, Queen, how worthy of love that you are. You don't need to do anything on these dates except enjoy them. And from the bottom of my heart, I hope that this content has helped you. And please, please don't forget, you are so ridiculously worthy of the love that you deserve. So with all my love, take care.